Hello, welcome to the Heels Academy, Risk Adjustment Made Easy, the Medicare Advantage Kind of Learning Series. I am your host tutor, Dr. Prince Belwa, and we want to welcome you. If today is your first time joining us, I want to say thank you and welcome. If you are a seasoned Heels Academy student, we also want to say welcome. We know that this week is the Thanksgiving week, and I want to start by saying happy Thanksgiving. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you're watching it on Wednesday, great. If you still want to watch it after the Thanksgiving, that is also awesome. But we want to thank you for being a loyal student with us at the Heels Academy since we started. I want to invite you to subscribe, to like, to share the resources that we are learning here. If you know someone who will benefit from these resources, I will gladly encourage you to pass it on. This month, we have been going over the risk adjustment model runs. In the first week, we looked at what model run is. We've gone through initial model run, we've gone to mid-year model runs, and the corresponding cheat sheet that goes with this month's episode is the Medicare Advantage Risk Adjustment Model Run Timeline Map using payment years 2022 through 2025 as an example. And at the end of the video, I will show you how you can download your free copy on the Heels Academy website. This week, we are looking at the final model run. The final model run. If this is your first time, I'll encourage you to watch the previous videos because it explains things, and also even the other videos that will go through some of the basics of Medicare Advantage risk adjustment operations. So one may ask, what is the final model run? So the final model run refers to the last processing of the risk adjustment model to calculate risk scores for each beneficiary using their diagnoses to make retrospective reconciliations and or payments to Medicare Advantage plans for the applicable year. So there are some key terms here that I want you to take note of. So the last final risk adjustment model, we learned that the model run is calculating the risk score. So we're using their diagnosis and the other demographic information that are used for risk adjustment process. And this is retrospective. If you remember the initial and the mid-year, we talked about prospective. So we were making payments ahead of time. CMS is using this process to make payments ahead of time. But in the final model run, it is looking back. CMS is looking back and then reconcile payments that have been made ahead of time now that we have full year's data in after the deadline. And it's making reconciliations and payment to the plans for the applicable payment year. And in this series, we have been using 2024 payment year as an example. This memo that came out on May 5th, 2023, this HPMS memo, and it looked at the submission deadlines. And from here, you can easily spot final model run here. You can spot final model run for 2022, 2023, 2024. So final model run is very important to know so that you are able to submit the last data, the necessary data that are needed for this. Final model run allows for the reconciliation of the data submitted for that payment year. After the deadline for the final model run, you can only correct. You can only correct data used for payment. You cannot submit any additional adds for risk adjustment payment. So you want to really know this final model run and the processes so that you are able to prepare and plan and submit data ahead of time, and also to be able to reconcile so that you have the necessary risk adjustment payment accurately for your population that you are insuring. So we'll go through one example explaining the timeline as we've been doing. Payment year 2024 is what we've been doing. We've been using payment year 2024 for the final model run. The submission deadline per the memo that we just looked at as January 31st, 2025 for the submission deadline. And we are looking at payment year 2024. The initial and the mid-year was prospective payment, meaning making payments ahead of time. For initial, which goes through January through June and mid-year July through December. The final also takes that and then calculates the payment and reconcile them together now that we have more data and complete data for that service year. So for 2024, the service year data that goes into that model run is January 2023 through December 2023 that are submitted before the deadline. Which will be January 31st, 2025. So 2023 data service submitted before the deadline are used to reconcile payments for that 2024. If the deadline is coming next year, you want to make sure you are submitting the right data, the 2023 data service data that are going to make it there while you submit all your other data sets. But as you reconcile that, you also want to make sure you are looking at the 2023 data service data, getting them in ahead of time, ahead of the deadline for your 2024 final model run. I hope this was helpful, and that is final model run. Next week we'll be having our live Q&A that will be bringing everything together in one place, like the initial, the mid-year, and the final, where we're bringing all of them together as we discuss them together. And I hope this is helpful. I hope this is helpful for you in your risk adjustment processes. If you have not already downloaded your cheat sheet that goes with this series, it is the Medicare Advantage Risk Adjustment Model Run Timeline Map using payment year 2022 through 2025 as examples. And you can download your copy from the Hills Academy website, which I will take a few moments to navigate us through. If you go to the hillsacademy.com and you go to resources, you'll find it down here and you can download your copy easily. And also, if you have not downloaded your signature gift, you can always download your copy at the Hills Academy website, and you can go here. I want to invite you to join a thriving learning community so that you don't miss anything that we send out to our learners. We want to thank you for joining us again, and we'll catch you next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for our live Q&A, going through and pulling everything together on risk adjustment model run. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Catch you. Bye-bye.